Welcome to the Bulls Rant on rantsports.com. I'm Johnny Fitz, and today we're going to give you 5 reasons to be excited about your 2011-2012 Chicago Bulls. Number 5, last year's record. Now, going into a shortened NBA season, it's going to be really important for these teams to have chemistry and to be proven winners. Your 6-2 win Chicago Bulls qualify exactly as that. They only have one new acquisition, Rip Hamilton, another if you count Jimmy Butler, and these Bulls are already a well-oiled machine that'll be ready to hit the ground running as the season begins on Christmas Day. Number 4, the bench mob. Last year's best defensive unit in the NBA is going to be pivotal in providing depth and experience in the shortened NBA season. You're going to see a lot of 3 games in 5 nights, 4 games in 6 nights. Legs will get tired, and that kind of depth can only help in this season or any other. Number 3, reigning coach of the year, Tom Thibodeau. The man is a defensive guru, and he turned a decent defensive team under Vinny Del Negro into the best defensive lockdown team in the league. We already talked about their bench and how they bring things on defense, but the starters too. You have Luol Deng, who is a great one-on-one defender. You have Joakim Noah, who is a fantastic help defender. And again, what is the old adage? Defense wins championships. And Tom Thibodeau eats, breathes, and sleeps defense. Now, one thing to pay attention to with Tom Thibodeau is going to be his rotations. Last year, he was criticized a bit for maybe keeping some people in too long, especially people with the injury history of, say, one Luol Deng. Now, with the shortened season, it's going to be really interesting to see how Tom manages the bench and keeps these players fresh going into the playoffs. Number 2, Rip Hamilton. What is the one thing you hear cited over and over again about the Chicago Bulls as their missing piece? That would be the shooting guard. And Rip Hamilton is going to fill that need perfectly. Now, we've got a very small sample size at how he's fitting with the Chicago Bulls so far, just in that one preseason game with the Pacers. But if you watched that game, look at the mid-range jump shots that he should have took himself and that he created for other team members. Look at how much more open the floor was with Rip Hamilton on the court. Now, I was a big fan of Keith Bogans and his defense, but when they were on offense, defenders could sag off him, double on Derrick Rose anytime he tried to get any penetration, and really clog up the Chicago Bulls offense. This year with Rip, not only is he going to force defenses to stay honest, but you're going to see him running through screens back and forth and back the entire game. That is extremely tiring for other defenders. So not only is he going to open up shots for himself, but also look for his court vision and awareness to open up shots for Carlos Boozer and Derrick Rose cutting hard to the basket. And that brings us to number 1, the number 1 in your programs and your hearts, the reigning MVP, the youngest MVP in the history of the NBA, the man so good that they developed the Derrick Rose rule around him just to ensure that talent like his gets paid. Yes, of course, it's Derrick Rose. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Derrick is you're not going to see the same high-volume scoring and shooting that you did from him last year. Now, that's not to say you're not going to see him attack the rim, be aggressive, take over games in big situations, hit big shots. But with the addition of Rip Hamilton, the floor should be a lot more open for him to get his passing game and watch his assists to increase, maybe 3 to 4 per game. That'll do it for this edition of Bulls Rant on rantsports.com. Join us next time for a player-by-player breakdown of your 2011-2012 Chicago Bulls, as well as reaction from the first game of the season against the LA Lakers. This is Johnny Fitz. This is your Bulls Rant on rantsports.com.